Hi, everyone. My name is Luke,
And I'm Kirk.
and we are here to surprise each other with art. So, Kirk, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this is going to work, and I'll introduce the topic.
Okay, so I'll save the surprise for the topic soon. Just so everybody knows, Luke chose a painting and I chose a poem based on a topic that you, the audience, voted on over at Surprised by Art on Facebook. So if you want to become a part of the show and you want to have a discussion about the artwork and the topic and the ideas and the passion and all the cool stuff, go to Surprised by Art on the group on Facebook. Just go type in Surprised by Art and it should pop up. And now you guys voted on a topic. So Luke, why don't you tell them what this topic is and what they ended up voting on?
All right, I'm going to tell that in one moment, but there's something
Okay.
else that we did this week that I was really excited about, which
Ooh.
was we offered up the opportunity for you all to audience to suggest topics for us. So in that Facebook group also, if there's a topic that you are interested in and seeing some art and poetry connected to, then we'd love to hear those and incorporate those into some polls, because I think the funnest part for me, Kirk, is trying to come up with a painting that matches with a topic. That's why I
Yeah.
kind of like it when you suggest a topic, Kirk, so that I'm excited to see, okay, what does that fit in my mind? All right, so the topic for this time, it's going
Drum
to
roll,
be
please.
righteous defiance. Righteous defiance.
Yes.
Now, this is a topic that I suggested to you, Kirk. So I had something in mind when I picked this topic,
Mhm.
but I'm going to be very curious to see what it is that you have in mind with the poem when you pick this topic. All right,
I'm
are you
excited
ready?
about this one.
Okay, good.
Yeah, last time was man's loss of faith, and this time is righteous defiance. So it'll be
Oh,
a
you
lot
got
of
the
fun
voice
to
down.
explore what we mean and what art can provide in kind of exploring this idea of righteous defiance. So thank you everybody who voted, by the way. I think that was a fun topic and an interesting and timely one, I think.
All right, Kirk, are you ready to be surprised by the artwork I've got for you?
Yeah, so let's hop into the painting. Again, Luke, now everybody, if you're listening to this, which you should be listening to this, then I recommend if you have a moment, pause and look after Luke does a description with me. Try to look at the painting itself for yourself. But we've designed this to kind of help you in just listening to it, and then you can go and look at it for yourself and investigate. Okay.
And it might be even fun to kind of, as you're listening in your mind's eye, conjure up what that image looks like
Mm-hmm.
to you, and
Yes.
then go to
And then
go to the painting and see what it
And
is.
we'll tell you what it is after I have explored it myself, because I've never seen
And
this.
well, but Kirk, with your poetic way of describing things,
Oh,
I
jeez.
think the audience is
You're
going to
putting pressure
be.
on me. All right. Kirk, you're the best with words, so you better have some good words for this. Okay, I'll do my best.
All right, and I
Yes.
suggest just dive in with your description. Just start describing whatever it is you're seeing.
No title?
Okay. Oh, if you want to throw in a title right at the beginning, yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
All right, let me
All
know
right,
when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right,
Here
I'm
it
ready.
is.
Okay. Uh, oh, man. Uh, I see confidence is my first
Right off
title
the bat.
for it.
Cool.
Now, is there any way you can zoom in a little bit so I could see some
I
of the...
will in a moment.
But let me...
But what do you see right now?
All right, so it is very interesting. This guy is standing by himself, and I'm interested in this like little pot of... There's like a little flower pot right next to his foot, and he's standing in a very foppish way, almost with his sword crossed in front of him, and he's kind of relaxed. And it's on this garden, so there's like this wonderfully patched garden of flowers. You have red, and you have white flowers, and yellow flowers, and they're in these like...
I like that phrase, wonderfully patched. You are poetic.
I try. So there's this patchwork of flowers on a field in the background behind him, and there are men that look like they are charging somewhere. They're charging. I don't know if they're charging him. I don't think they're charging him, but maybe there's one guy. The closest guy to him is running. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for zooming in a little bit there. He's running. It looks like he's running forward, but not toward the man who's standing there. And actually, I didn't pay attention. Can you go back to the man? I want to see if they're wearing similar uniforms at all. can't tell. I'm really bad at uniforms. So
What are you looking at, the uniforms of all the apparent soldiers?
they're
Yeah.
like in a yellow tunic, brown
Yeah, they all look
leggings.
alike, right?
They're an army of some sort, or some kind of musketeer
Yeah.
group or something like that, right? With swords, and they have like tall hats that I don't know what they are. And this gentleman who's running they're all trampling these flowers, by the way. So that they're kind of
That's an important point, I think, there.
Yeah,
right? There's a footpath, but they're not on the footpath.
yeah, good point. So he is standing again with his, and I'm really fascinated by this little. There's a little pot by him, a potted plant, and it's just growing a little bit. I see this one flower, one bud, which I find really interesting. I wish I could put my face right up to his face. He looks so relaxed, right? Like he doesn't seem to have a care in the world. And you have these men that are charging something. Some are running away, it looks like, or at least their backs are turned, and a few are running in the opposite direction. I see a man with a horse who's also going towards some of the men who are standing on the field. By the way, in the background, from those men who are their backs are away from us, is a village, and it looks like just a quaint village. So I guess that's how I would summarize what this scene would look like without the men. It's a very
well. Let me ask this. Is this garden? Is this out in the wilderness, or does this look like a man-made nursery?
Definitely a man-made nursery. That's what I meant by the patchwork of flowers. It's not completely wildflowers. It's definitely designed by man. And so I like it's again in these little rectangular patches of this field that has all these flowers in them. And I see like a tower in the background. I imagine it's some European village of some sort. It's a small village, not a big city. It's not London or anything like that.
All right. So what you're seeing is that there are these soldiers who are stomping on the flowers of this nursery, and who does this nursery belong to?
Oh, okay. So there you go. That's a good question. So I would say it belongs to this gentleman who's standing there with his sword on his, his sword is out, but it's not pointed up. It's pointed on the ground, like almost like a cane, except he's not using it like a cane because you can't walk like that. Because it's a.
Now you described him as foppish earlier. What do you see about him that looks kind of foppish?
Just his casual nature is what I meant by foppish. So he's very elegant or aristocratic. He has a certain, like, the first word that came to my mind was a confidence, and just like a strong inner confidence. Like there's this chaos going on, and it doesn't seem to negatively affect him, at least not from what I can see.
So by the chaos, you mean like the shouts of the soldiers and the stomping that's going on, the movement, all that?
Yeah, there's a horse in the background, right? Like,
it looks like it's also participating in the stomping a little bit.
Yeah, and it's totally messing up this garden, by the way. And I don't know what they're fighting for, what they're yelling at, or if they're just like proving a point, like that we can.
So that's interesting. This foppish gentleman that you're pointing out, who's looking on this, does it look like he's going to stop those men?
I don't. That's a good question. Is there any way you can expand the picture?
Yeah, I will in a moment, but I think you could fit. There's enough information here. So by the pose, if you were to take this pose, does it look like he's springing for action to move forward, to interfere?
I mean, that's what I was thinking. Like, no, he's not.
That's what I'm thinking too. Look at, he's on his back heel, and his left toe is pointed outwards, and he leans his shoulders back. Oh, I bet you want to see his face, Kirk, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I was looking at the stance, and that's Oh, thank you. I mean, it's like maybe that's a fencing stance, but the way he's holding his sword, it's like a defensive posture. But it's down on the ground
I like
in front of his leg, and you're right. He's all his weight's on his back foot. Like, there's no weight on his front foot.
You described defensive posture because that he's got the blade of the sword pointed down between that flower pot and those soldiers in the distance. It's almost as if he's...
That's interesting. So I like what you just said. So that, like, the thing that he can't defend the whole field by himself. You've kind of guided me into this, and I think I see it more now. That I was really, my eye was drawn immediately to the sword. The painter drew the sword point toward that potted plant, and I imagine he is the owner of this whole field. And for whatever reason, maybe got the king got mad at him, and they're just like destroying stuff, because they can, and he can't fight a whole army by himself and get them off this huge field. He's only one man, but he has staked his ground, and he's going to defend this pot with his life. And this is his pot, and you can't mess with this one budded flower. He will kill you if you try to mess with this one thing. Everything else he can't do anything about, but this is where he's making his, this is like the term, this is the hill he's going to die on. Right? Like they say, choose the hill you're going to die on carefully. This is the hill he's going to die on. Is how I see that.
It's such a tiny, lonely little pot.
But it's his. Right? And that's
all right. Now I'm going to show you his face, and because his face is hard to see, I'm going to show you a close-up. I know you want to get right up close to see his face. Well, I'm very curious to hear what kind of expression you're seeing, and then what do you imagine he would be saying?
Ooh, man. What would he be saying? So I think he would be saying, like, I can't really.
Would he be saying something like, "Don't tear up my flowers"?
No, I mean, I think he understands that there's not much not much value in that. Like, I can't describe the look on his face right now. It's especially since
would he be saying something like, "Oh no, why is this happening to me"?
No. His chin is up, his eyes are forward. He's glaring. I mean, I think defiant is the word that comes to mind, and he's saying like, "Do your worst." Right? Like
I could see that.
Like, come try. Like, I dare you. And I can almost get, like, when I look at the bigger picture, one thing that I just noticed was I can almost imagine the man who's trampling, the man who's closest to him, the soldier who's closest to him was running toward him, and then he said, "Nah, I'm not going to mess with them." Right? Like he ran.
Okay, if you're to project out what was going to happen, yeah.
Yeah, like he said, "No, it's not worth it. I'm out here by myself. My other guys are like 40 feet away. It's just me and this dude, and he doesn't look like a guy to mess with." Right? And I could see he's like, it's I dare you type thing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
You want to hear the title of the artwork?
Please.
A little bit of the background. So the title is called The Tulip Folly, and it references. Okay. I don't know how much you know about the tulip market in Holland in the 18th century, or here the 17th century, but tulips were prized. I think I just saw a movie a few weeks ago called The Tulip Fever. It's not a great movie, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. But tulips were prized, and there was so much interest in tulips that there would be the market became over flooded with tulips, so that eventually just I guess supply and demand. It just the vast supply of tulips pushed down the prices, and then the government at the time period, trying to get a hold of this oversupply, decided that they were going to destroy a bunch of the supply to get the price of tulips back up. And so they sent out soldiers to different tulip nurseries, tulip farms, to destroy vast amounts of tulips. Now,
that's interesting. Yeah, I think I've heard something about tulips, like in economics, actually, and studying it. Like it was almost used as a bartering, like more than gold or something like that at one point, right? Like it was part of the economy, a major part of the economy.
I'm not a botanist or horticulturalist, and I don't know much about tulips, but I know that different tulips had different values, and that there were some that had staggering value. And one particular flower that had a particularly staggering value, which was I think I saw some stats where it was for an average years earnings, you needed like 10 years average earnings to purchase one tulip, something like that, some exorbitant stat
Wow.
like that. And that flower was called a Semper Augustus, and it was a white flower with red streaks, a white tulip with red streaks in it.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can see the detail of that flower that he's got there.
It's a little
But
hard, but I could see that you're saying it's like a white center, and there's like a red
white,
or some color around the
yeah.
center on the bud.
So there's one particular flower that he's protecting, and that's the Semper Augustus. That one bud is probably worth more than all the others combined. So in this instance, this is the one that he wants to protect, and that he's going to put his sword in front of and stand in that regal, foppish way in his best cape and hat and earrings and pristine mustache.
Yes. Yeah, and very like it's I could see where you're getting righteous defiance from it in terms of like this is, you know, like I said, I think this is where I'm going to make my stand for sure. Because all the other ones I'm sure they're valuable to him, but he's willing to give them up to defend this one. And whether you know as a viewer that the value of this tulip or not, in terms of the global economy at the time of the painting or whatever, or when the painting is taking place, because of the way the painter, the artist, developed this scene where he's in the foreground, he's the biggest figure, the sword is, you know, the pointed right down to it. He's put his body between him and this whole army. It like really emphasizes that there's something really important about this one little teeny pot with it's a fragile little stem, right? Like it could be easily broken, and he's willing to defend it.
Yeah, and that figure, if he weren't there in front of a tulip, if he were at the barricades, if he were on the front lines, that person with that nobility, that dignity, that courage, that defiance, it's not the content of the ideas that he's espousing that suggests righteousness to me. You may think, okay, what's the big noble idea he's fighting for? But the manner in which he's defending this precious possession of his suggests this righteousness.
Yeah.
I'd follow him into battle. I'd listen to what he has to say by the manner he presents himself and that strength and dignity that he shows. He's not lashing out. He's not displaying anger. There is some thought that he's made and some stand that he's come to and projects. I had a fencing friend, as you pointed out, he looks like in a fencing pose. I had a fencing friend tell me that the way that he's posed, the next motion of his wrist is going to bring that sword up to be ready to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's ready to fight. And that's, you know, so it's like, you know, I was the David, right? Where he's not flinging his sling and arrow, but he's poised to do it. And there is something, you know, like if you've ever been in a possible fighting situation, like, and you see that person in that, like, oh my gosh, this guy's ready to fight. And, you know, it looks, if it's your hands and fists, it looks one way. With a guy with a sword, this is what it looks like to me. He's like, if you get within a certain, like if you cross a certain line, that sword's up and you're skewered, right? Like it's going to happen instantly because he's a pro. Like you could tell he's a pro with that sword. He's not some guy who like is brandishing it about and trying to go crazy with it. He's ready to skewer you.
Yeah. So I'm curious, Kirk, what would be a Semper Augustus for you? What would you defend?
Yeah, like my pot of land. Well, and that's what I like about this is that he's defending that pot of land. Even though it's small, it's still his, right? And it's valuable to him. Even if you don't know the value of the tulip, right? It's valuable to him. I mean, you know, again, I repeat this for me. It's like, like my gym. I'd go out in front of my gym and defend that. Right. Like the little things that I love, the coffee shops and the restaurants that I enjoy going to, my house, of course, I would, you know, defend that one little piece of land that I got. That's mine. So for me, it's about defending what's yours at the end of the day. It's like the core of what's yours. So even if all the other things are taken away, like just get your patch of land and just, put your foot down and say, this is the end of the line for you, right? Like you enemy, like you out there, whoever it is that's trying to trample this, honestly, I would try to defend that whole patch of land. Like, but sometimes, like in our current situation, if you can't, if you literally can't, if there's like just an army like this one, I think you just step back to the place that you can put your one body in front of and say, this is my life, and you're not getting past here without taking my life. And I'm going to go down as difficult as possible.
So there was some video of the protests in the early days that reminded me of this artwork. And it was in Minneapolis, just like the first few days. And there were some African Americans who had guns and were defending places of business from looters.
Yep.
And so that image is what struck me as really resonant. It's something that belongs to you, that is precious to you, and you're not intending harm, but you are there as a presence to defy, whether it's authorities, whether it's a mob, whatever it is, that this is something that's yours, that you're going to hold on to, that's going to be precious, and you are defending it.
Yep. Yeah, I think 100%, like, find what's yours and defend it. And that's what this poem or this painting is about, I think.
All right, great. So I'm interested in seeing your poem now and seeing how this that connects to this. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, let me go into the reading. So why don't you open up your poem that I sent to you? So Luc has not seen this at all. This is the first time he's seen. I don't know if you've seen this poem. I will let everybody know this is one of the most famous poems in England. Actually, it's the unofficial anthem of England, not of the UK. And it's called The New Jerusalem by William Blake. Now, have you heard of this poem, by the way?
I don't think so.
Okay. So let me go ahead and read it, and then we will discuss. All right, everybody settle in for a moment. If you have the poem in front of you, great. Otherwise, just relax and listen. The New Jerusalem by William Blake. And did those feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountains green? And was the holy Lamb of God on England's pleasant pastures seen? And did the countenance divine shine forth upon our clouded hills? And was Jerusalem builded here among these dark satanic mills? Bring me my bow of burning gold. Bring me my arrows of desire. Bring me my spear, O clouds, unfold. Bring me my chariot of fire. I will not cease from mental fight, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand, till we have built Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land. Okay.
All right. Very cool. So my first impression is this. I'm going to fight to bring about this holy land here in England.
Yeah, and let me ask you like some questions that just quick stanza by stanza questions, since this is a short one.
Yeah.
So whose feet is he talking about?
I'm thinking Jesus.
Yeah. So, and did those feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountains green? Now, I think that's all you have to know. That there's a lot of allusions in this poem, a lot of biblical allusions. I don't think you need to be an expert in them, but you do need to have a sense of certain things, right? Lamb of God refers to Jesus, right? Usually you'll hear them as Lamb of God, that kind of idea. So that's he's asking these questions. And did those feet, did Jesus come to England in his ancient times, and when he was alive? Now, in the second stanza, what comes to your mind when you hear the words dark satanic mills?
Would you read that
And
those two lines there?
and did the
Mhm.
countenance face, by the way, and did the countenance divine shine forth upon our clouded hills? And was Jerusalem builded here among these dark satanic mills? So, do you know what
Yeah,
Jerusalem?
I don't know what the Satanic mills are. So countenance divine is like, okay, the clouds are parting, and here's God looking down upon us with light,
Yep.
and then
Well, do you know Jerusalem? Do you know anything like the
well, it's a holy city.
the holy city?
So,
It means city of peace. It's its literal translation, and this is the idea of building the city of God. Right now, of course, today we know there is an actual location in Israel, but there is an idea of the New Jerusalem that I think is helpful to know, which is after the world is destroyed, there's going to be a new city built, like the perfect city, and it's going to be the utopia. And I think that's important for like unlocking this.
well, what does that have to do with Satanic mills?
Okay, so and was Jerusalem? That means the perfect city built upon these dark satanic mills. Well, what's a mill for one?
Well, it's where you're going to grind your grain.
Yeah, it's grinding your grain. But so yes, that's 100%. But I mean, like, does the words dark satanic mills bring any emotion to your mind?
Well, sure, it's ominous.
So it's very ominous, and it's where is it located?
I don't want to be part of these dark satanic mills.
You don't want to be a part of them. And where is it built?
Where are they built?
Yeah, where is this?
By rivers?
Okay, by rivers, but I mean, where's the location of this poem?
In England, yeah, right?
So it's in England, and we're talking about these mills are coming, and they're dark satanic mills. No? Okay. What about Industrial Revolution?
No, I wasn't making that leap at all.
Okay.
So I feel like that's getting a little bit into the background knowledge about the poem that I have no connection to while I'm reading this. So because the thing that I'm still struck with is dark satanic mills, and I guess now what you're referring to is these are like mills, like factories, and this is something that's these factories are satanic. This is a industrial revolution that is not what we want around here. It's antithetical to the meadows of green.
Well, there's a literal and a metaphorical, and I was trying to get the literal in order to get you to the metaphorical, right? That's the issue with poetry is you have to kind of take a leap. And dark satanic mills, I think, has a connotation, a feeling of this, like you said, an ominous presence that's taking over the land. And just think of it as an evil presence. I don't think it has to be the Industrial Revolution. That's probably what he meant, literally what he was looking at in 1804 when this was written, but it's way broader than that, right? That's why it's been taken as the unofficial national anthem of England. It's way broader than just the Industrial Revolution.
So for me, the key word is mills. Is mills referred to, is that the industry?
But a mill is something, like you said, it's a general building for machinery and grinding out bread and flour and things like that. But it's a grinding machinery. It's a thing that grinds. That's what a mill does. Like a millstone, like grinding. That's the idea you want to get.
And so in the next stanza is, okay, he's ready to fight all this satanic mill stuff. Bring me my bow of burning gold. Bring me my arrows of desire. Bring me my spear. Oh, clouds unfold. Bring me my chariot of fire. Yeah. I think my favorite part of that is, oh, clouds unfold. Bring me my chariot of fire, because that harkens back a little bit to that countenance shine forth over our clouded hills. Because when I was picturing the skies parting and the sun coming out. And so it seems like he wants to be part of that, the skies parting and the sun coming out. He wants to bring out that chariot of fire just where God's countenance comes from.
And and think about those, just this stanza alone, and forget the rest of the poem for a second. You know, if you were in a battle, right, and you had your leader who comes up, and even the I don't want to get into painting too much. We'll talk about that later. But think about this gentleman, someone who said this, right? And the words that he's like, bring me my bow of burn. It's very obviously poetic, but it's powerful words. I think. No,
I like the connection you're making to what I was saying before about, okay, this is a type of person that and the painting that I would want to have before me in front in a battle on the front lines. And so what you're saying is these are the words of somebody you would want as your leader, righteously fighting and define whatever there is in the land.
I mean, that's how, that, bring me my bow of burning gold, bring me my arrows of desire. It's just, for me, it's just very resonant and powerful.
So what do you make
imagery
of bring me my arrows of desire? Because I'm immediately thinking of Cupid,
But not in the context. So yes, there is that, but in the context of bringing.
Yeah, but what does it mean in the context?
Well, in the context of a burning gold bow. So this is a weapon, like a bow is an actual weapon, a deadly weapon, and it's fueled by his passion and his inner desire to bring Jerusalem about. So this is what he's actively trying to do. So this is, to me, this is very active language. This is language that is saying, we're going to build this Jerusalem within the context of the poem, right? And that's what he says at the end, till we have built. Because the next stanza is, I will not cease from mental fight, nor shall.
So that's interesting there, because what you have is, what you're describing is, okay, give me my bow, give me everything here. Where's my chariot? You're describing as this active, this activity that he's undergoing. And then the next line is, I will not cease from mental fight.
Yeah, mental fight, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand. So his sword's not going to sleep in his hand, his action, nor is his mental, his thoughtful activeness in creating this world that he's going to create. And that's why I think the kind of power of it, because this poet is a fighter at the end of the day, right? Like he's a dreamer and a fighter. These things go together. It's not one or the other, right? Like he's a fighter. And his weapons are bow and arrow, spear, chariot, sword. Those are the things that he has. But these physical objects, they kind of, for me, they become charged with emotions and significance because of the context of what he's fighting for, what he's talking about, and then just the resonance of bring me my, just if you say it, bring me my bow of burning gold, right? Bring me my arrows of desire. Bring me my spear,
when you say it,
clouds unfold. Well, I think it lends itself to that kind of speech. Bring me my chariot of fire. I will not cease, right? It's got that oomph to it. And it's meant, I think, to be sung in a sense. Like it's meant to be sung, and it is. It's literally, the national anthem of England, or the unofficial one, because it's meant to be sung with some power and resonance.
All right. So this is somebody who's crusading for a new kind of civilization here in England. He's unsatisfied with what he wants, and he's calling forth the righteousness of God to be his inspiration when he takes up the fight to destroy the dark satanic mills.
And what for me with poetry, and especially in this case, so you can take the dark satanic mills to be any kind of this is again my interpretation, but others have interpreted this way. Any machination that kind of impedes on a better life, progress and moving into something better. And dark satanic mills has become that kind of phrase of like, these are the dark satanic mills of our time. Is the dark satanic mills of, police force, for instance, would be one example.
Yeah, I think I would. I like that you're describing it as like England's national anthem, because I think of national anthems like, I play soccer, so getting in and listening to the national anthems before a professional soccer match, World Cup or something like that, it rouses you to go out into the struggle, go out into the strife, go out into that match. And I can imagine in whatever kind of strife that I'm about to undergo that I think is worthy of fighting for, I can imagine repeating these lines or singing this to myself to pump me up, to say, all right, bring me my bow of burning gold, bring me my arrows of desire, bring me my spear, O clouds unfold, bring me my chariot of fire, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to fight. It's motivating me to see the righteousness of what I am about to engage in.
And I would recommend, if you guys get a moment, to Google or you go to YouTube and type in the last night of the proms, New Jerusalem, and you'll see proms this is an event, an orchestra event of a couple of weeks in the summer that they do in England playing classical music. And then the last night of the proms or promenades, they always play this song along with God Save the Queen as the final song. And it's really fascinating. It's amazing. It's just like, the national anthem in America, but you'll see thousands of Brits singing this, with their flag waving and, they're singing this song basically, and written in 1804.
Now, did William Blake write this intended to be a national anthem?
No, I don't think so. In fact, there's some view that he looked at it as a kind of criticism of what was going on at the time, but it was primarily during World War I taken up as an anthem to kind of differentiate England from its adversaries, right? Because think about like what a New Jerusalem is, again, is a utopia. And they're saying that we're going to, he's saying in this poem, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand till we have built Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land. Now, not necessarily the literal Christian Holy Land, although that is one interpretation, but the perfect area, like this island is going to be, this England's green and pleasant land is going to be the land of this perfect harmony, peace, and progress is going to happen here.
So what made you pick this poem, Kirk?
Well, so I think it's a poem with a variety of different ideas in it in terms of this utopia. But for me, the emotion that comes across most strongly is this, this defiant cry out that bring me my bow of burning gold, this is his defiance against the dark satanic mills, whatever those mills are going to be. And that, you're not good. And so when you were showing me that little pot of land, I was thinking like, that's a perfect, analogy for that is his, like the dark satanic mills are all those people that are trampling his.
That's his New Jerusalem.
And
there
his New Jerusalem is his little pot of land. Right. And I was like, that's perfect. Like this. So if you don't have to be in England, although this is great for English people, of course, because it has England's green and pleasant land. Just like America's fields of wheat, right? Like America the Bountiful, right? That poem or that song. And it's that kind of thing, but it has I think a broader resonance for me, and especially that third stanza with the "Bring me my bow" of like that. If I can,
so
go ahead.
I guess what you're imagining maybe is if we take that character from the painting, that foppish aristocrat with his elegant sword, spirals in the handle, that before he sets out to go find that pot and to stand there in defiance of them, he could be saying to himself, bring me my spiraled sword, bring me my little, I guess my, whatever it is that he's got, whatever, bring my boots that I'm going to wear. But it's his preparation before he goes out to defy the soldiers that are coming in. And I'm wondering also if that points out a little bit of the difference between.
I was going to say the difference too.
Poem.
Yeah.
So go ahead, articulate that. What is that?
Well, I think so. As we found out in the painting, if we're going to now talk about the combination of painting and poem here, what I noticed about the painting is that he is defending more, right? He's more on the defense. This is more on the offense. Yeah. So this is the opposite side. This is saying, this is him like. They're about to trample his pot of land, and he's going to fight back. The satanic mills of those soldiers are coming. They're grinding his whole field. They're coming, and it's like, Game of Thrones right at the last second with I don't know if you guys saw that show, but when he's like standing there and that whole horde of horsemen are coming at him, right? And or he's it's just him by himself, right? And that's what I thought of when I thought of your painting. And then, but he's ready. He's going to go out there, and he's going to That's
a great visual connection.
And he's going to fight. But the difference is with the poem, it's more in the fighting mood. He's more in, that's it. Like, we're not going to stop fighting. So I can imagine almost like they've already trampled it and he's going to regrow it and they're going to try and stop him or something like that. And now he's going to go fight, right? Like so that's the feeling I get, is that this is more of a fighting mood versus like, this is the last stand. This is the hill to die on. It's like, we've died on the hill or we're about to die on the hill, but no, we're going to fight back. Like that's what I'm getting from the difference between the two.
So which one would the American national anthem better fit? New Jerusalem or the painting of the Tulip Folly or Tulip
Oh
Lord?
man, the American national anthem.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, say, can you see the Star Spangled Banner?
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think.
that
They
one,
don't
Kirk.
sing that anymore, so I don't like hear it as much as I used to. I used to love that
But
song.
the gist is, I think it's you got
Yeah, I'm trying to
the
recall it.
flag is flying while the bombardment is going. The flag
Yeah,
is still.
yeah. Thank you. The bombardment. Um, I mean, it's almost like a combination between the two, right? Because they're being bombarded. I guess it'd be more painting. It'd be more your painting than this poem. Um, yeah, and that would be my stance. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too, because it's despite all the craziness that's going on, that flag is still there, unaffected, um, kind of showing dignity, just like he stands proudly.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's there, and I like how you defined or explained in the posture before in the understanding the painting that while he notices or he's informed this guy in the painting, he's informed that these soldiers are coming to trample his tulips, that in that moment he might say something like bring me my bow of burning gold. I think that's an important connection. The emotion of I'm not going to cease from my fight until I've built defended this.
Wait. I was
But
about to say that, but you missed one word, an important word in what you just said.
what's that?
I will not cease from mental fight.
Yeah.
And I think our figure in the painting
Not mental.
is totally mental.
Oh,
his fight is absolutely totally mental, having to stand there to resist. That look of defiance is not just, okay, I'm going to look defiant. It's building up the courage and the knowledge. I'm not going to react to everything else that's going on right here. I'm going to be self-possessed enough at this moment to see everything that is my life being destroyed before me, and know and keep in my mind and know that there's one thing that I will not let be destroyed, but I've got to protect it and I can't overreact.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think I think I would agree with you, and I would probably extend it. That mental fight can mean a couple of things. I think in relation to that painting, you're right. It's his internal struggle or his internal.
If you put yourself in his place, in his place.
Yeah, like
if Kirk, you're I don't know, defending your home or something, or having to watch as government officials or protesters or whomever it is kind of start to get onto your threshold, and you
got to bolster yourself up.
Yeah,
get yourself pumped.
The rage you might be feeling, the anger, the need to act, the need to lash out.
I 100% agree. That's really interesting. Yeah. And actually I saw the movie again last night, which I haven't seen in since I was a kid, Chariots of Fire. I don't know if you've heard of that movie, but
it's the soundtrack is one of my favorites.
Yeah, right, that electronic piano or whatever. Yeah. I can't do the thing. I won't do it.
Oh, but go ahead. Sing for us. I can't do it.
I forgot it. I'm really bad with music, so I won't mess it up. But you guys probably know what I'm doing if you go to YouTube and do Chariots of Fire. But it was a 1981 film. It won 7 Academy Awards. Huge film at the time in terms of the prestige that it got. And it's all about.
I'm curious to see where it's going. Yeah.
It's all about the mental internal fight that makes a runner go, have that. It's about runners basically in the 1924 Olympics. And like, what is it that drives them to push harder than they're capable of pushing in that moment? And they took the Chariot of Fire from this poem. It was inspired by this poem, although this is in the Bible.
I say, bring me my Chariot of Fire.
Yeah, Chariot of Fire. And so like when you get this burning gold idea, his burning gold, think of it as like created from light and like that internal, like that's what you're saying about this defiant painter or this guy in this painting, this Defiance, is that burning passion is internal, right? It's inside him. You can't necessarily see it except in his expression. You get a sense of what's inside him, right? And those arrows are like his piercing aspirations. Like, this is my goals. These are what I'm trying to go for. And for him, it's for the painting. It's my goal is this is the hill I'm going to die on. That's my aspiration. That's how I would put that. And then, for me, the chariot of fire is like Phoebus, the sun god, who in his chariot in Greek mythology drives the sun. And it's all these emotions in these concrete imagery is why I love this poem, personally.
So, I think what I'm taking away from the combination of the two is you have a kind of before and after. You have the poem, the setup of the vision of what it is that you want, what matters to you, the idea that you are going to fight and defend, and the preparation for rousing yourself to do so. And then in the painting, you're in the middle of the fray, but it's a different kind of, it's not actively going out to fight. It's the mental fight within to stand by what you know is most precious.
Yeah.
And to defend that with righteousness. So,
yeah.
Any final thoughts, Kirk?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in the painting, you get more a sense of defiance. In the poem, you get a more a sense of righteousness.
Yeah.
And it's more like, you like that? It's more.
I kind of like it. But I want to be careful of that too, because there is that vision of that. And if you haven't seen the painting yet, I can't wait for you to see it. But that vision is what I would call a vision of righteousness, because he would be fighting. He would be on his chariot of the sun.
Oh yeah. Like if anybody gets within, like I was saying earlier, within like a couple feet of him, his chariot of fire is going to be out, right? He's going to be on his chariot of fire fighting to the death. And that's what that painting gives. My only point is the emphasis in the moment captured by the painter is the moments before that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And I think the paint, so it's more about defiance. It's, if it's like a spectrum, he's on a little bit more of just pure defiance that's captured in the painting. And
I think I wouldn't put the spectrum as defiance to righteousness.
Okay.
And I would say defiance to action.
Sure.
Righteousness, I'm associating more with the idea that you're defending, or the manner in which you hold that idea. This is something that is important to me. It is sacred. And even though that's just a little flower, it's sacred to him. Just like you pointed out, that little pot of flower is just like in New Jerusalem.
Yeah. Now, do you think that if someone crossed that line, he would in his own way speak that third stanza? Do you get that?
I think he's already spoken that third stanza before he got out there. That's your
conclusion. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like so you're saying he's already bolstered. Okay. Yeah. I could dig that.
Yeah, he's out in the English shores, right, or the English meadows right now, fighting the those satanic mills. Yeah.
Which are the people that are grinding his tulip patches.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Nice little ending there. All right. So this is fun, Kirk. What's going to be the next topic, or what do we have on tap for the next topic?
Okay, so let's so everybody, thank you. Make sure you go to troubadourmag.com and check out the show notes, where we'll have the painting and some description of the poem. Now, if you go to Surprised by Art, the group on Facebook, you can vote for 3 topics we're going to put up. I'm going to put it up probably pretty soon here. So check it out. By the time you go to this, you'll be able to vote on these. Okay, you ready to hear the 3 topics?
I'm ready to hear the 3
These 3 topics, by the way, 2 of them come from the people on our group. So thank you to the people who gave us some suggestions. So first one is secular revelation. Secular revelation. So
like you might have revelation, like a religious revelation, but now this is a secular source. Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be a really interesting one, and one to express what we think is revelation and so on.
I'll be interested to find a painting for that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Yeah. Overcoming heartbreak.
Yeah, I've got plenty.
Yeah, there's so many poems.
I'll pick one out.
That's got to be overcoming.
I've got some in mind that are coming to mind.
Yeah,
Overcoming
there's
heartbreak.
like, because I've never experienced heartbreak, so I don't know what to do.
Of course, neither have I.
I had no idea. No, but yeah, like so many poems. That's a big one. Childhood wildness.
Oh.
Childhood wildness.
Okay, interesting.
So those are the three we got. Overcoming heartbreak, secular revelation, childhood.
Are you about like childhood wildness? Like, is there an age limit there? Is it like, does that go up to 25?
I mean, if you think it does, I would say, ask yourself what child is, and we could have a philosophical debate on what childhood is.
No, but I'm imagining, yeah.
But you can. I mean, like 30-year-old children. There we go. Yeah, I know 35-year-old children for sure. I know 80-year-old children, man. Okay. All right, Kirk. So that's it for this time. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you, everybody.